back. I think we're back on the stream, yeah. With our setup. Whoa. Sometimes the robot voice doesn't like to do what I tell it to. Some glitch in the programming, oh yeah. Let's see if we can do this. Oh. Oh How are we doing today? Oh, hey, welcome to the stream. We're gonna welcome you to the stream. Oh, yeah. Every day gotta welcome you. Every day gotta welcome you to it. Welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, we gotta welcome you to the stream. Whoa, yeah. We gotta welcome you, yeah. To the stream, oh, welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, we gotta welcome you to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream, yeah. To the stream, oh, welcome to the stream. Say, how are we doing today? We got some people here in the chat. Tell me where you're from in the chat. Tell me where you're from, as we usually do. We can kick this off. Let's see. We got the looper working. Obviously. Let's see. We have got people from India, from California, from Hudson. Hey, it's my mom back on the stream. From Denmark, from Austria, from France. Hello from Poland. Hello from Israel, from Czech Republic, from Boulder. Oh, let's see. We got best community here, says Brucky40K. That's awesome. Hey Brucky, how's it going? We got Virginia, USA. Hey again, Nicole S. Jeanette Larson says, hi Tim, you help make the work afternoon go faster. I'm glad I'm able to do that. Let's see. Peter Naughty is from, oh, I lost you, Peter Naughty. What are we doing? Did I seriously lose you? Oh dear, where'd you go? Noddle, sorry. G'day from Queensland. Hi from the pale blue dot. Faroe Islands, that's crazy. Hi from Virginia, hi from the Netherlands, hello from Denmark, from Israel, from Texas, from Lancashire, St. Louis, Missouri, from Sweden, from Virginia, from Vancouver. Oh man, so many of you. Netherlands, Germany, Washington State, California, Finland, Romania, France, Germany, California. Hey everybody, a very special welcome to you to this here particular stream. If you're just joining us first time today, usually we do some sort of intro, so this is our intro for today. Welcome to it, yeah. Welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, we gotta welcome you to the stream. Welcome to the stream, yeah. We gotta welcome you, yeah. To the stream, oh, welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, we gotta welcome you to the stream, oh, yeah. We gotta welcome you, yeah. To the stream, oh, welcome to the stream, oh, yeah, we gotta welcome you to the stream, oh, stream. Welcome to the stream. Welcome you to the stream. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the stream. We're gonna roll you. Yeah. We're gonna roll you. What are we gonna do? Whoa. Yeah. Oh, hello, friends and family. Hello. I like that voice as We Are Trains. Hello back, We Heart Trains. I'm glad to see that you're still here, still hearting trains. It's a good day to heart trains, especially maglev trains. They're pretty good. Aurora86 says, thanks for making the isolation more tolerable. Yeah, I mean, Error of 86, that's like, honestly, that's what this is doing for me too. It's like giving me something to do on days when lots of things are not happening, and I gotta figure out what the heck I'm gonna do all the time. And like, I'm also like, it's easier to just feel, powerless. So here we are, trying to not feel powerless, and trying to actually make something worthwhile out of this whole isolation thing. So I hope you're all doing well out there. Yeah. What should we do today? Just kidding. I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch some more of my old videos. Is what we're gonna do. Yesterday, the stream is still up of yesterday's if you want to watch that later. Yesterday we went through the pre-After Effects period of my videos, which was the first four. Rowing in the Higgs, Bohemian Gravity, Massless, and Eminemium Choose Yourself, however you want to pronounce that. And so today we're gonna look at the early After Effects, post After Effects period. So what happened was I don't know, I kind of have like segments that I consider my work to be broken up into. The first one is like those first four videos, like before I basically, like, my laptop got stolen. Which the story of that is that I was talking to a friend very late on a park bench, and as I am a very ADHD type, I wandered off. She and I like wandered off for like 10 minutes walking down the street, and I did not realize that my backpack was in fact still there, containing my like not only my laptop but a whole bunch of books and like my backup hard drive, which is a bad move to keep your backup hard drive with your laptop. And by the time I got back, someone had swiped it. And we filed a police report and never heard back anything. And that was like, I was like, oh, I'm dunzos. I don't know what to do. And then I put out this crowdfunding campaign, and it turned out that people were like immensely supportive of the crowdfunding campaign. And they raised me enough to like buy the workstation computer that I'm still using, and also enough money to like fund me for like a good year or so. And that's when I kind of kicked it up a notch and started doing some real some more serious production, I guess. I mean, Eminem was also was already serious production, but it was like crazily my stuff really wasn't set up for it. So this is kind of like my second period, I guess. Like the rebirth, as it were, of Acapella Science. We're gonna go over to the first one we got here is The Surface of Light. This is what can I do to explain this? So can we full screen that? Can we get it full without okay. Yikes. I apologize to anyone's ears. Let's just pause that for a minute. If anyone here was part of that campaign, like actually supported that campaign, thank you so much. If there's anyone here that donated to that, you're really the reason why I was able to keep going and make this thing what it became, you know? Yeah, so the origin of this one was that like before I got my laptop stolen, um I was approached by Beakerhead, which was a thing run by Jay Ingram, who's like a legend in Canadian like science broadcasting television, to do a piece specifically for his for this thing called Beakerhead, which was like this I don't know sort of combination science festival and almost like Burning Man-ish type thing in Calgary, Vancouver. And he said, "Hey, would you be interested in like writing a piece and like that you'll premiere at this festival?" And I like it was a big leap of faith for him to do that because honestly, had I had written like four of these so far and I was really new and I didn't really know if I could pull it off. But they actually paid me enough to like make it worth my time. And so I had premiered it at Beakerhead, and right after that, when I was about to start producing, and that video is on my second channel, I think. If you want to watch like the Beakerhead performance, it's pretty cool. I do it like the live looping style, and then there's like a bunch of people come out on stage at the end. Like Jay Ingram's whole band plays in the finale, and there's like a Robotronic bird. Um, yeah. So we heard trains saying thanks for the apology. I think I'm deaf for life. Sorry about that. Yeah. Should I bring the volume of this down a bit? Let's bring the volume down a little bit. Um, yeah, but the story behind this particular one is at the time there had just been this big announcement of the like a big so the cosmic microwave background for those of you who aren't aware, um, is this it's the leftover radiation from the birth of the universe. So way back when the universe was formed, with a whole bunch of energy flying around, a whole bunch of matter flying around, but a lot of like matter and antimatter. So then they all like collided, and most of that disappeared into radiation, and it was an intensely hot, crazy place. And after like as the universe expanded, those radiations like the universe became transparent because the like plasmas are not transparent because they have charged particles that interact with photons, but atoms are usually transparent except for very particular frequencies because their electrons are trapped and they're not really free to accept electrons or accept photons and bounce off them. So the universe became opaque, and all of this like intense heat in radiation just went streaming out in the universe, and really most of it hasn't hit a single thing since, and it's just been propagating throughout the universe from everywhere to everywhere, but getting stretched out and cooled down as the universe expands, because as space expands, the wavelengths of light expand. So like when this radiation was initially emitted, like 100,000 years after the Big Bang, it was about the temperature of the surface of the sun. It was like 5,000 Kelvin or something like that. And it's been cooling ever since as the universe expands. And now that the universe has expanded, like, what is it? How much has it expanded since then? I could do the calculation on you. It's something like 3 orders of magnitude. It's so now it's down at like 2.7 Kelvin, and it's this like it's this microwave radiation that just permeates the whole universe. And so this was one of the great predictions of Big Bang Theory that was confirmed. It was like observed, and the people who observed it didn't know what they were looking at, and it had also been predicted. And then we were like, oh, this is that. This noise is that thing that we predicted that there would be noise if we looked in that range. And since then, it's been a great tool because it's basically the furthest into the past we can look is to look at this radiation. Before that, the universe is opaque. There's nothing like you can't see further back unless you get into trying to do like primordial gravitational wave sightings and stuff. So really all you can do is look at that like surface. They call it the surface of last scattering. It's a surface that from our perspective is traveling outwards from us at the speed of light, because we're always seeing the same moment, or roughly the same moment in time where the universe became transparent. But that moment is receding from our perspective because the light that's further away takes longer to get to us. So, it used to be the surface of last scattering was, like 5 billion light years away, and now it's a bunch more like billion light years away. Yeah. So we're always seeing that same moment, and if we want to see any further into the past, we have to sort of make inferences off of that sort of like boundary surface. And so one of the things that was discovered by seemed to have been discovered by the BICEP team, and I wish I could remember what BICEP stands for. If someone remembers what BICEP stands for, put it in the comments. Why am I tracing myself around my head? This is just an absent-minded thing that I do, I guess. Also, love that expression. They had announced this discovery that they had observed these like strange whirls and warbles in the cosmic microwave background, which were a signature of the universe ringing like a bell, basically, like these huge, large-scale gravitational waves that had affected the microwave background on a huge scale. And that was the only way that it could have rung like a bell was for something really drastic to have happened to it, and people thought this is a signature of inflation, which is a theory of how the universe got from the initial tiny size to a much larger size in a very short amount of time. And maybe I'll go a little more as we play this. I'll talk a little more about why inflation is a theory that's taken seriously, because it's kind of it's not just. It's different from the idea of the Big Bang. The Big Bang is the universe starts off like exploding outwards, and then it slows down, right? Like that. But the idea of inflation is that the universe starts out, and then there's a rapid acceleration outward, like whoosh, and then it slows down. And there's reasons why cosmologists think that could be what happened in the early universe, and maybe I'll touch on them. But for now, let's see if we can watch this video. Cosmic background, all the heat coming off. See it cool, recombining hot plasma. I mean, okay, there we go. Cosmic background, not from an era before. Concrete matter. I was really trying to get that like punchy sound of the circle of life, like that like chanting part at the beginning. Once again, a little cringe. Looking back through that line to the origin, the Big Bang. Looking for inflation in the cosmos. Looking for yes, that's what we're looking for. Look at these. So I've gotten more adventurous with my. I don't know if pattern shirts really work, but I like this was the first time that I tried to sort of. No, I did a little bit of it in Eminem, but this was the first time I was really like trying to ape the instruments that I was playing. So you can see there's like the hi-hat over here. I'm doing a triangle here. This is like a hand drum. There's like I listened to this like the original recording a lot for this and tried to like piece out everything that's going on. All of space is alive with you got the strings up there. Unblinking since matter was young. A swarm that screams all the earlier scenes. Listen to that bass. Do 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 do. There's definitely a lot of processing on this. I had gotten more like this next sort of period of my of my production, I think, was characterized by me having kind of a wanton disregard for sounding like an a cappella group and more just wanting to sound like as close to the recordings as possible. And that led me to do put a lot of heavy effects on things to the point where like I remember some people asking in these things like, is this even a cappella? It doesn't even seem like it's really a cappella. I think I've like at first, like for Bohemian Gravity, there was none of that. It's like definitely obviously a cappella. And then like there was this period where I went totally the other way, and like this you can hardly, because I've processed it so much, you can hardly tell that it's not like a studio recording, except for maybe like the drums. I think it's good to have a balance. Like you want to have the sound of voices. That's what a cappella is about. But you also want them to I don't know, feel natural in a mix. I don't know, it's a bit of a balance.
From our view of how the world was begun, we scour for clues still imprinted.
I'm still doing that thing where I put graphics behind me. It took me quite a while to figure out like the right format because it's so much easier to explain to like do a science parody if you have a graphical medium, because like you can shorthand things in the lyrics and not like overload the lyrics, because there's a limited amount of lyrics, especially in like a ballad type thing like this, and you can put a lot of information on the screen. But there's just like a problem of information overload. Like, okay, here's all these faces, and then there's the lead, and then there's the subtitles, and then I've got to put the graphics somewhere. And here I was still doing this thing where like I put like there's something going on here but what's the point of it, right? There's a viola in the way. So eventually I worked out that, you know, bars of people on the sides and graphics in the middle works pretty well. And I don't know, that's still what I've mostly been doing when I do this type of video now.
On that light.
But see, we've got like here we've got an illustration of these photons. They started blue over here. This is a diagram of the expansion of the universe. So like that's the surface of last scattering there, and it's kind of like time is this dimension, and kind of overall it's like a cartoon, but like overall size of the universe is this dimension. So the universe is expanding this way, and as these photons go along, they're shifting from blue, which is short wavelengths, literally expanding out to red over here. That's what I'm trying to get at. And here is the what observatory is that? Is that Keck?
Waiting there to
No, Planck. The Planck observatories. Planck is a space telescope that looks in the microwave, and at the time it was the best source of mapping out like the CMB that we had.
be found. And at the South Pole we spy, within the black starless sky, great swirling forms in the plasma cloud, in the surface of light.
Oh man, that sounds good. That still sounds really good. The bass is like, dude, there's a lot of effects on the bass for sure. We're still doing the piano thing in the corner. I see. I'm still on that, like, oh, this is a piano. People need to know it's a piano. How many people notice that?
That we'll use to show if inflation's full.
If you ever need to do a whole lot of science rhymes and you don't know how to pull it off, and it seems like there's too much, there's just too many lines, just start with Asian rhymes, and you can find infinite ones, right? Like that's all these backup vocals they're doing, like caught up in cosmic inflation. I can't even remember what they are because I did so many. Let's go back. I want to look at what the
cloud in the surface of light that we'll use to show if inflation's force through space has run. Will we find out?
I actually like that. I had forgotten that there was so much, because when I do this live, I don't do those lyrics. I'd forgotten that there was so much technical detail down here in the background vocals, which really gets lost. Like you wouldn't notice it unless you were watching the video. But yeah, like they're describing this is like these modes of anisotropies here, like these hot and cold spots. Basically, they're thought to come out of initially quantum mechanical fluctuations that get blown up by inflation, because the universe is inflating so rapidly that they blow up to the size of the cosmic horizon, and then, they're blown up to the point where you can see them. So you're literally seeing quantum mechanics amplified to a cosmic scale by the inflationary force of presumably inflation. Yeah, and then B mode polarization. I don't even remember what that means.
Waves in the polarizing
Oh man, okay. I must have I must have like wrote those lyrics for the background vocals like right before I recorded this, because I know when I wrote the song, I didn't know that it was going to be disproven. So at the time it was like Bicep makes this massive discovery of inflation, and like, whoa, it turns out inflation is true because we found it in this like polarization of the light from the cosmic microwave background. And then I think it was Planck? Yeah, I think it was Planck. Came out and they were like, no, what actually happened was that you guys saw a whole bunch of dust in the in the galactic plane, and the dust causes polarization, and you didn't properly account for that, and actually you're like that's all you saw, and inflation is still unproven, and that's where it turned out. So like when I wrote this, it wasn't really settled. People were like arguing about it in the literature, and so I'm like, it was a cause for celebration, but now with this, now we need more information, right? Ooh, the quiet part. And then lame jokes. Brace for lame jokes.
Hey, Bicep.
Yeah, Planck.
This is so weird.
Ever wonder what those swirly patterns are up there?
Planck. I don't wonder. I know.
So that Bicep is, I don't know why physicists name things ridiculous. Like every physicist who makes an acronym always wants to make it like something that you can you can say. It's like a word, and they're always like one-upping each other. So like, especially with like WIMPs and machos, which are like massive something halo objects. I always forget it. And weakly interacting massive particles, which are like the two theories for dark matter. And then here you've got Planck and Bicep. So I thought that it would be cute to have an actual Planck and an actual Bicep having a conversation. And the reason they've got those voices is that I was trying to do that dialogue from The Lion King, which is it's Timon and Pumbaa, where they're like, you ever wonder what those those shiny dots up there? And Timon's like, I don't wonder, I know, they're fireflies that got stuck up in that big bluish black thing. And then Pumbaa's like, I always thought they were balls of gas burning billions of miles away. And Timon goes, to you, Pumbaa, everything's gas. And like, The Lion King was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I think it was one of the first movies I saw in the theaters. It was definitely the movie that informed me about death. And like, it really stuck with me. Like, that's a phenomenal movie. Stands the test of time. And like, one of the great scores of all time. Elton John and Hans Zimmer, fantastic. And so I had this deep, I've got pretty much the entire Lion King memorized. So of course I remembered this conversation. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be so cute to have an actual Planck and an actual Bicep? So this is my buddy Tom, who I worked on Cabin 9 with. This is his Bicep and his voice. And we recorded the Bicep movements and the voice simultaneously. Just because it would be way too hard to synchronize them. So I was green screening his arm, and also he had the microphone on, and it doesn't work. It's not very good. Even when I like the finished product, when I saw it, I was like, this doesn't really work. This is not funny. But I left it in because we'd shot it, and yay.
Oh. What are they?
They're gravity waves. Gravity waves that got stuck up in that big cosmic background thing.
Oh, jeez. I always thought they were clouds of dust blowing billions of miles away.
Planck, with you, everything's dust.
It's such like a break of like, it's like this whiplash of emotional of like emotional resonances, like emotional tones, because the rest of it is like this, it's like this epic beautiful thing, and then let's just throw in these like completely dumb cartoon voices. This is one of the things that I dislike the most about all my work. Like, even by the time I released the MP3, I was like, no, we're getting rid of the cartoon voices. Please, no cartoon voices. I want this to just be a nice experience for people. Has Bicep 3, I haven't followed up on this. Did Bicep 3 actually do the follow-up to it, or is that still like way in the future? Someone someone tell me, someone who's a physicist who's keeping up on cosmic microwave research.
Be shown if the daytime.
That's a beautiful graphic in the background. I think that was the graphic it was the Bicep graphic that was released. Like all these swirling patterns are like the polarization patterns that it actually viewed. I mean, there's always when you're doing data visualization, there's always a bit of artistic license, like how are we going to visualize it? But that's like a pretty scientifically accurate image, and it's stunning. It's really cool.
Or turns to dust. Will we find our ways in the polarizing?
That's a hard note to hit. What is that? Polarizing. It's an A, and I still like, my voice is a baritone voice, and it still always breaks at like a G sharp A. I can hit that on good days, but every time I have to hit one of those, this was pitched a little down from the original. I think it was like either a semitone or a whole tone down because I knew I couldn't hit it. But even then, like it's a real boomy tone on that. I'm not sure what's going on here with the swirl. I think I just wanted to do something interesting. Yeah.
In the surface of life.
That's a good ending. I like that ending. Also,
Hey, musical scientist.
This is a long outro. I kept doing the long outros. This lab coat, I didn't have a lab coat until I went to Beakerhead, and they actually gave me this lab coat like to perform on stage, and I still have it, but I've stopped performing with it because like it's sweaty. If you perform on stage, if you're singing and you're wearing a lab coat and you're in front of a crowd and you're nervous, you just sweat way too much. And also, I don't know, like I'm not a chemist. I sort of feel fake in a lab coat. Like the actual physicist uniform is a t-shirt, so I tend to just go with t-shirts. Let's see what you want to watch the outro. Let's see the outro.
Hey, musical scientists. Welcome to the rebirth of acapella science. Hope you
Rebirth,
enjoyed
yeah.
my sciencey take on a Disney classic.
Look at how many things I'm gonna stop harping on this. But look, there's like this parody that Tom and I did on this other channel. We have like 3 musical projects. We have the live version. We have the buy the song on iTunes, subscribe, Bohemian Gravity poster, playlist. There's way too many things. Calm down. People are not going to click on that.
Be sure to subscribe, share it, and then head on over to Acapella Science 2 to watch the live version. You can help support these videos by buying this and other Acapella Science songs on iTunes, or by ordering my Bohemian Gravity poster, available on DFTBA Records. And you can follow...
Yeah, DFTBA was carrying that, and now they're not. They took us like, I think like 5 years to, no, maybe not 5. When was this? But it was like four or 5 to sell out of them. And then I got an email from them saying the your order quantity on these is way too low for us to justify a reprint. So I'm no longer working with Bohemian Gravity, but I like made like a dummy merch store on Teespring, and I've been waiting to launch it because I've been wondering about doing like a rebrand of overall like my graphics and stuff. And there's a interesting artist named Clo Mono that I've been potentially working with for another poster design. So maybe we'll launch it all at once. We'll see.
Follow Acapella Science on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay updated. Shout out to Tom Zalatni for supplying the voice acting and the beefy bicep for bicep. Click over there to watch our liturgical Broadway parody on his channel, or take a look at some of my other musical projects. Tim Blay Music, my extremely sporadic, serious music outlet, or The Electric Radio and Ruben War, where I provide guest
Yeah, it's just too much.
vocals. Quick thanks to NASA, the ESA, Planck, and Bicep 2 for their hard work and their amazing data visualizations, especially those beautiful all-sky maps from Planck. If you'd like to understand more about cosmic microwaves, inflation, or the whole
I do think I'm getting better at, like, I've definitely stepped up at this point in talking to the camera once again. I'm doing a little bit of the shouty thing, Like I don't know, I feel like everyone goes through that period where like once you realize that you can't talk the way that you're going to talk to a normal person, or like the way you're going to talk when you're afraid to a camera. You get into this kind of like, hey guys, I'm Tim Blay and this is my channel and I'm just speaking a little more loudly than I should because I'm not sure what to do. And I think that's where I am here.
Controversy that's been sweeping physics for the past year. I've made a playlist of educational YouTube videos, so go watch that. And finally, once again, a huge thank you to my Indiegogo supporters who this past year brought Acapella Science back from the brink of death. You're all beautiful. I'll see you next time with more Acapella Science.
Yay. Oh, and then is it, okay, that's not actually that long. I guess it's just keep going. Yeah, I just have a really long end screen. This is bad for this is bad for the YouTube algorithm to have this long of a nothing at the end, because people will click or they'll stop watching, and then the YouTube algorithm thinks, hey, that's that means that people didn't enjoy the whole video and they clicked away. Little inside tips, but you know, the background is nice. You can hear that I've really embraced I've embraced autotune at this point as a way to clean up the sound. And the problem with autotuning at scale is that you've got to do it really hard because you just don't have time to like finesse it. So those background vocals are they sound really robotic to me. Like they're a lot like this now. Like the, can I get it? You know. Yeah, there's an art to auto-tuning, and spoiler alert, every singer that you've, let's stop that. Hey, what are you doing? Stop. Okay. Spoiler alert, every singer you've ever listened to on the radio is pitch corrected to some extent. Not so much because they can't hit the notes, but because to get a perfect, like before there was pitch correction, people just did a lot more comping, which is when you do a whole bunch of takes and you combine them incessantly until you get a perfect one, because it's just really hard to lay down like a perfect take in a studio, especially if you're going for feel as well as perfect pitch. Like often you kind of have to pick one. So most people do auto-tuning to some extent, and there's ways to do it tastefully, and then there's ways to do it that make you sound like T-Pain. And, you know, that can be tasteful too. But, yeah, those ones, it was definitely pretty hard on that. Let's move on. Oh, is anyone saying anything interesting in the chat? Red Moon says, I almost stole a lab coat once. I almost wish I succeeded. Sean Ale says, depends. Theorist uniform is business casual. Experimentalist uniform is t-shirt and jeans. I don't know, Sean. I was a theorist. And pretty much everyone in my department just wore t-shirts, even for like conferences. Maybe string theorists are even more casual than y'all real theorists who actually do something for a living. Shade thrown at the string theorists there. What am I doing? Let's take a small hydration break. I need to clear my mouth. What else are people saying? Jade Cutter says, I need... Catherine, you're here. You just missed The Surface of Light, but you can go back and watch it on the replay, I'm sure. Tim, are we on the stream beautiful too? You are, Bratislava. You all who are watching the stream are my most beautiful people. Yeah. Anything else going? Bummed, but I want to be here for LIGO. Well, Catherine, LIGO I don't think we'll get to LIGO and this stream. Maybe the next time we do this, either tomorrow or some other time. Let's do... Okay. So this is Puffed Up Cores. This one was... this is the first video, I think the only video that I've ever done on my channel that was not entirely written by me. So the brain behind this video initially is my friend Luke, who wrote an initial draft and brought it to me and said, hey, like, would you be interested in turning this into a video? And I looked at it and I said, okay, like there's a bunch of stuff that we need to sort of fix up with it, because I don't know, I have really stringent qualities that I wish a parody to have, and I liked it to be really closely mapped, and there was a lot of finessing to be done. But it was like all the basic concept of it, like having Robert be instantiated as a black hole and all this stuff. A lot of it was his, and then I like, especially in the second verse, I filled in a lot of the details. Oh, let's see. Raphael's saying, "Will you explain the acapella, like what every part does?" Yeah, I could do that. Like the Surface of Light would take a long time. There was so many stuff in there. There's so much stuff in there. There's like the doom 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 doo doo. Like the hand. There's like a bunch of different and like ding 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 ding, like different percussion bits. At the end there, and actually maybe we can go back to Puffed Up to a Surface of Light for a second. Stop. Why? Because there's actually you can probably hear it better in the ending here, where I'm doing where I'm not, where the lead vocal isn't in, so you can hear the background. There's this really cool like xylophone part that it took me forever. Like I was like, there's something in there when I was listening to it over and over, and I couldn't piece it together. And then I'm pretty sure I had to do some like frequency tweaking on the MP3 to try and like isolate what it was. Yeah. Let's see. And that I did all that with like little whistle bursts. It was really hard to do because like it's hard to tune a whistle burst. Yeah, that's probably the most interesting thing in that. Like otherwise there's a lot of like and like the yeah, lots of stuff. The only thing about using autotune is no harmonic seventh. True, and no justly tuned third either, which is sad. Let's move on to Puffed Up Chorus and see what we get. So the original song for this, if you don't know, is Foster the People's Pumped Up Kicks, which is a song about a school shooting. And it's kind of shocking that that it's as, it was as number one of a hit as it was. But the main character is this guy named Robert, who's a fairly severe, problematic person, and it's about him and his inner thoughts and his family and whatever. And so I guess a black hole is as close as we can get in the scientific cosmological world to a psychopath trying to destroy things. I don't know. Black holes are not that destructive. They just hang around. Like, just don't fall into them. Even if you're close to them, they're not gonna like suck you in. They'll just send you in an orbit. I mean, they will suck you in, but usually you'll just orbit around them if you're approaching them and not direct on anyways. Black holes are fine. I have maligned black holes in this video. How dare I? I mean, look, shout out to Uncanny Valley. Look at this. These heads in boxes. I had like a green screen up to my chin. I was like holding it here so that I could just have my head. And for some reason, I thought it would be an amazing idea to have, heads and like heads on stars. There just happens to be. By this time, I was using Adobe After Effects, and there just happens to be a really cool warp function in Adobe After Effects that gives you this like crazy gravitational lensing effect swirl. So like I just had that tracked onto this black ball, and that pretty much gave me like a surprisingly, I don't know, cosmically accurate black hole. This works well on like a full screen computer, that's what I was editing on, like a large screen computer. I think this guy is too small in a lot of scenes. It's nice to have my head inside especially because in the original the actual vocal has this like robot effect on it, and so it's cool that I could use that effect and like put myself into the astronaut. Like I think it really works. But the fact that the astronaut, like I wanted the astronaut to be obvious and not take up too much of the frame, meant like I had to really shrink down in a lot of the scenes to make it work, and that means you can't really see the lead vocalist. I'm not sure I like that. There's Luke. Luke did a very good job playing like this sullen black hole character. Also, this was just like you'll see that this was just me going through After Effects and just learning kind of these like weird effects and tricks and stuff. And so like all these like zooms in, like this zoom in into the black hole. I like that. That I didn't know much about keyframing at the time. This sort of thing took forever. And then like zooming out of the window. It's very hard to get that to work with like 2D layers. And then later you'll see like there's weird things like bursting into flames and this like data like I don't know, like digital stuff that shows up. It's just me kind of going ham and like figuring out what I could do with After Effects, and it makes this video honestly a bit of a mess. But it taught me so much, this video. Like it didn't do very well at all. I think people saw it and they were like, first of all, this song is like 4 years old. We're not interested in it. And second, like what on earth was going on in that video? But doing this and like experimenting with it made me able to do a lot of other things. Hey, giant sun. Aw, he's all happy and being a white super giant. Is a white super giant even? I think so. Anyways, he's a big white sun, and this is a little bit of creative license, I think, because I wanted to contrast the bright white shining thing with then he like collapses and becomes evil or whatever. He's even singing along. Oh, and then making iron and nickel, and he like pulls out a bunch of nickels from his pockets. Yeah, so what's going on here is this is actually what happens with stellar evolution, especially like supergiant stars. They start off burning hydrogen, and that lasts for like a super long time, and then they run out of hydrogen and they blow up like as a red giant because they're instead of burning hydrogen in their core, they start burning hydrogen in their like outer layers, and their core is just like a solid block of helium. Maybe not solid, but whoa! Hey, my camera fell down. Okay, what are we gonna do? We're gonna pull this somewhere. All right, it's off a frame, I think. Can you see that? You can definitely see that. Oh no. Is it out of frame now? Whatever. If it's not out of frame, it's just gonna be there for a little while. Yeah. So they're burning hydrogen. And then like they have a helium core in their center, but they blow up on the fringes because they're burning the hydrogen out in the outside. And then as they accrue more helium into the center, they get so much pressure in the middle that suddenly the helium is able to fuse into like higher order compounds like carbon, oxygen. So then they start burning again at their core, and they kind of collapse down for a little bit into a nice, more compactified shape. But then the helium runs out, and the same thing happens, that the helium in their outer layers starts to... What's the name for the outer layers of the sun? Is it the mantle? I keep wanting to say mantle, but that's like Earth. And then that keeps going. So eventually that you have this kind of like onion layer structure where you've got like the outer part of the star is still hydrogen. You've got like helium. The corona's outside of the outside of the actual body of the star. It's like the chromosphere. I'm not sure. Shrek. It's not Shrek. So then you've got this like onion structure where you've got like hydrogen, helium, like oxygen, like nitrogen, oxygen, carbon. The last things to burn are like the last things that get made are iron and nickel, and at that point the star is under an immense amount of pressure in the middle, and before I continue, I have to plug in my laptop because I forgot to do that. So let's take a momentary break. And I will be right back. I'm sorry about that, guys. I really need to have like a list of. Well, one thing I need like a "We'll be right back" screen for this, but then I also need a list of things that I really need to do before I start streaming. I think convective zone or radiative zone is probably what you're talking about. Yeah, the convective zone I think is what I'm talking about at Starstrike. Anyways, all that to say is that by the end of a supergiant's life, it's fusing iron and nickel at the core, and these are like the heaviest elements that you can fuse, because after that, that's like iron and nickel are the most stable nuclei there is, and after that you start getting more unstable from being too heavy again. So like uranium's super unstable because it's too heavy and wants to break apart. Hydrogen, if it's close to other hydrogens, doesn't want to stay hydrogen, it wants to fuse to be helium. But iron and nickel, they don't really want to do anything. They're as energetically compact as you can be, basically. And so after that, there's nowhere for a star to go. And that process lasts a few minutes, like that burning of... I think they do fuse iron and nickel for or one of the two for like a couple of minutes at like 1 billion degrees. And that's all they get. And then after that, you start this process of collapse where the giant, just the core collapses and it either turns into a neutron star or, in this case, a black hole, and the rest of it explodes. Oh, yeah. Look at those galaxy mouths. Those are a sight to behold. That's not a thing that you ever want to show your children. All the other stars with the puffed up cores, they better stay far away. Oh yeah, and the clapping pulsars, and he's just looking out. He's looking out from inside his black hole house and like angry at all of them. I'll get those stars. I will make them part of me. Past their own rush limit. All the other stars with the puffed up cores, they better run, outrun my palm. All the other stars with the puffed up. We shot that on I brought my green screen to Luke's apartment, and we shot all these scenes there. With like a toy telescope that he bought for the purpose, which was pretty nice of him. The Roche limit, I think I've explained this before on stream, but the Roche limit is the point at which a star is close enough. Mikhail's asking, who's Luke? Luke's the guy who wrote like the first draft of this song and also played Robert the Black Hole. The Roche limit is where a gravitationally bound body gets close enough to another gravitational body that the gravity of the second body rips apart the first one. Like the gradient of the second gravitational field overcomes the gravitational field holding the first one together. And so it's not like if a star is going to get destroyed by a black hole, it's usually not that it like directly gets sucked into it, which is actually what I ended up illustrating because I couldn't figure out how to make Roche limits that tore stars apart with my limited knowledge of computer graphics. But more realistically, you would probably have the star coming in at an angle and like having a near miss, but the black hole's gravity would be enough that the shear forces would pull the star apart and sort of like fling it out into a bunch of gas that's like disparate, and then it would spiral around the black hole in an accretion disk. So now we're gonna get Robert going to the black hole to the blackboard, a black hole at a blackboard, and trying to figure out some physics, I think. Aha, we got Hawking radiation. That's like this is the classic like, I mean, I feel okay using this demonstration of Hawking radiation because this is the one that Hawking actually used in A Brief History of Time. This idea that at the horizon of a black hole, you have, like, everywhere in space you have particles. You have particle pairs popping out of the vacuum all the time. So like an electron positron pair, or just like two virtual photons that, you know, actually, can that happen? Two virtual photons? I'm not sure. But there's Hawking's sort of like cartoon explanation of it was that you'd have like an electron positron pair, and one of them would like, usually they'll come together again and annihilate because they can't survive. They're made out of quantum uncertainty. If they survived long enough, they would be made real, and you can't make them real without like violating energy conservation. But you can like, they can exist for a very short time and annihilate with each other again, and like it's as if nothing happened. Hawking's explanation for radiation at the edge of a black hole is that one of those particles falls into the black hole and gets lost, and the other one escapes out of the black hole and is a real particle. And because there's this boundary where nothing can escape from, you kind of they're prevented from colliding together. That's like a real oversimplification of the actual calculation of Hawking radiation, and I think it's something that people get confused about right a bit because it's kind of a cartoon. Like Gustav here says, why doesn't the negative particle escape? So what's really happening is that you've kind of got this inversion at the boundary of a black hole where like time becomes space and space becomes time, and because of that, like the entire notion of energy gets really confusing because energy is tied up with time. Like energy is the quantity associated with like time translation symmetry, which is like the fact that the future is like the past and like the present in terms of the physical laws. And energy is that. So if you're starting to like manipulate time itself and like the direction that time points in, it's really confusing to get a real good idea of energy. And inside a black hole, time actually points toward the center of the black hole. This is how you can't. This is why you can't escape from a black hole. It's not really that there's more gravitational, and like that there's. Well, it is that you can think of it as there's so much gravity that you can't escape. But the more geometric way of thinking about it is that time has been bent so much that it actually points into the black hole. Like the future is now a point in space instead of the usual future. So you're no more able to get out of the black hole than you're able to time travel backwards. And so because of that, you get these really weird things in quantum field theory going on at the boundary of the black hole, where there are energies, like there are modes of vibration of the quantum fields that have positive energy that inside the black hole have negative energy. So you do get this pair creation, but it's not really like matter antimatter. It's this whole other thing of positive energy modes and negative energy modes that otherwise wouldn't exist and only really exist from your perspective outside the black hole. Like inside the black hole, they're not negative energy. It's just that time has switched depending on your perspective. I think I've got that right. Anyways, that's the Cole's notes of it are this, that we thought the black holes couldn't radiate, then that they were totally black, and then Stephen Hawking did this really incredible calculation, which is what made him famous, that black holes in fact when you put quantum field theory on them, they do in fact have radiation from these positive and negative energy modes that are around them. And so black holes very slowly radiate away. And as they get smaller, they radiate faster until they disappear in like a burst of energy. Yeah, so a black hole of like Robert's like star kind of magnitude, like it's radiating at an incredibly weak rate. It's 0.62 nanokelvin compared to like the cosmic microwave background is here at like 2.7 Kelvin. Here's me at body temperature, 310 Kelvin. Here you can see, if we back up a little bit, I think Rob's doing the calculation of how much. Yeah, there's the equation for the mass of the black hole, for the temperature of the black hole. You can see it's a really cool formula because it's got pretty much all of the crazy constants of physics in it. It's got h bar, which is like the signature constant of quantum mechanics. It's got the speed of light, which is the signature constant of special relativity, and it's got the Einstein's gravitational constant, or Newton's gravitational constant, which is it's the signature of general relativity. So you've got quantum mechanics, special and general relativity, and thermodynamics like all in one equation. And the larger your mass is here in the denominator. The larger your mass is, the less you radiate, so the colder you are. And the reason for that is that the radiation is proportional to not the actual strength of the gravitational field, but how much it's changing across the horizon. And a small black hole, even though it has overall a smaller gravitational field, its horizon is also further in, so it's changing like across the horizon. At that point, the gravitational field is changing more rapidly, and that's what, like, you can think of it as that change in the gravitational field is enough to rip apart these particles and push them to one side or the other of the horizon. And the larger your gradient is, the more of these particles you can rip apart and send flying out of your black hole to radiate. I love how Robert comes to the conclusion that he's too cool to just die, and then he's sad. I'm not sure what to say about that. Here we've got we're talking about. So if we don't know what happens to the information in his supermass. This is black hole information theory. The problem that we have now with black holes is, now that we know that they can radiate, that they can give off particles and they evaporate immediately, there's an information problem. So quantum mechanics says that in quantum mechanics, information is conserved. All the information in the past just evolves according to the Schrodinger equation toward the future. And that's all fine and dandy. The problem is that a black hole, the singularity in the middle of the black hole, because time points towards that singularity inside the black hole, that represents like that's like an end of time for anything that goes in. So all the information must hit the singularity at the center. And then what happens to it? Like, does it get destroyed? Is there some sort of does the singularity, if you zoomed into it enough and had a theory of quantum gravity, actually have some sort of structure that preserves the information? The tricky thing about it is that your singularity is always hidden behind the event horizon, and the particles that radiate away from the black hole radiate from the event horizon. So if all the information is trapped at the center, and then all the particles radiate outwards until there's no black hole left from the outside, and there's no way for anything to travel from the center of the black hole to the edge, because that's literally backwards in time, how on earth is information preserved once the black hole is gone? It's a really challenging question, and there are a few theories about it. One is like it's really hampered by the fact that nobody has a good theory of quantum gravity, but one of them is that there actually is no center of a black hole, and actually all the information about the center is encoded on the boundary, which would allow it to come off of the boundary and escape into space, and there's no problem. This is like this holographic principle. There's also, there are other ideas like firewall theory, which you'll see in just a second, which is, it's basically a notion that by the time your black hole is old, it's radiated so much of its information that there's not enough information left in the interior to like sustain an actual space. And so if you fell into an old black hole, the space in the interior would essentially already be gone, radiated away. And instead there's just like a firewall that you hit and nothing happens, and you like instantly evaporate. But this would only be for old black holes that have already radiated away all of their information. So it's black hole information theory is a really weird subfield of physics, and it seems to me that nobody's got a good solution to what's going on with radiating black holes. It's really at the cutting edge. So like I'm just like spitfiring ideas. So nobody knows what happens to the information. It could have hair, which is black hole. There's this famous phrase, black holes have no hair, which is that there's no information encoded on their boundary. But maybe we're wrong in the quantum view, and maybe it does have information coded on the boundary. So maybe it has hair, maybe it's a firewall, maybe black holes don't even exist because there's nothing on the interior. So there's that lyric. Man, this is informationally dense, I'm realizing. I mean, that hair is the hair and the fire, definitely fever dream material. So here's Robert in the corner here. He's working out. He's like becoming self-aware here, right? This is sort of what's going on cartoonishly. So he starts with Newton's gravity, and he's like, no, that's not good enough. Newtonian gravity doesn't predict me. I'm going to use the Einstein equations. And then like he's trying to figure out how to get this star to become part of him, right? So here's the Einstein equations, and then he's like characterizing himself with the Schwarzschild metric of the black hole. This is so many like in physics in jokes in this one. This is what's called the Kruskal diagram of a black hole. It's a really weird way of like, how would you describe the Kruskal diagram? So in this diagram, it's like a coordinate transformation of the black hole, so you can sort of visualize it on a plane. In this diagram, the event horizon is this diagonal line here, and the singularity. So the middle of the black hole has been turned into this line, and you might think, wait, why is that a line? Isn't the center of a black hole a point? No, the center of a black hole is a line because it's in terms of space-time, the center of the black hole has a world line. It's a single point, but traveling through time. But because time has now become a spatial direction towards the black hole, that center point is actually a line in space at a single point in time instead of being a line in time at a single point in space. And then the thing with the Kruskal diagram is it shows you that there's this sort of extended solution to the black hole that you can write down. Like what we know about a black hole is pretty much this upper right hand side. But there's this natural extension to the coordinates that lets you complete the plane to this bottom, and it gives you like no one's sure what to do with this part of it. This is where you get these ideas of like maybe if you could travel faster than light, you could go through the center of the black hole and miss its singularity and wind up in like a parallel universe, which would be over here. Or maybe a black hole this is an eternal black hole. Eternal black holes are only theoretical, and they're always paired with something like this, which is like a white hole. But people have shown a white hole would be like the time reversal of a black hole. But people have shown that for actual collapsing black holes, there's definitely not this section of the diagram, so you don't have to worry about like a potential white hole in the far past. I don't know if what's said about this sort of like alternate universe over here I'm pretty sure for like a black hole that collapses, you just have this part, which is the part that like naively makes sense. And this ends up kind of being a theoretical construct.
Better stay far away, past their own rush limit. All the other stars with the puffed up cores, they better.
Ah, see, he's written down the equations for a charged black hole, and becoming this is a weird. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Becoming aware of them and developing lightning powers, which is just a setting in After Effects that I discovered, and I was like, whoa, I could make him have lightning powers for this one little joke. So here's a charged black hole has some different properties, because black holes can carry charge if you put more positrons in them than electrons, or vice versa, or whatever. And now Robert can shoot lightning. And there's the spinning black hole, a Kerr black hole, which has some interesting properties. For example, it has this frame dragging effect where there's a region outside the event horizon where it's impossible to go left, or like it's impossible to travel in one direction of space. You can only go around the black hole in the direction it's spinning. You can't go the other way. So that's kind of interesting. And you see Robert twirling in delight.
All the other stars with the puffed up cores, like the sun better run past their.
And figuring out his Roche limit. And still we've got this. Yikes! Look, I'm being swallowed by a sentient galaxy that's singing about a black hole that resides far away from it. Hey, what's going on here? Pac-Man? I was really proud of making Pac-Man out of this the nebula. What's this Is this the Eagle Nebula? I made Pac-Man out of the Eagle Nebula, because I needed something for him to nom. So I have him nomming neutron stars while little star ghosts try to get out of his way. It's weird. And here he's just keep nomming, keep getting bigger. Right, Robert is about to unleash his power. Hey, you can see the pulsars redshifting as they approach the black hole. Yeah, you're right, Starstrike. It's the Pillars of Creation. I'm sorry. All right, so I'm not sure what's going on in this final scene, but I think the idea is that like now Robert has basically uncovered the mysteries of the universe, become a self-aware black hole, and is essentially the ultimate being and can like manipulate space and time. Or maybe it's just anthropomorphizing the way that black holes tend to grow over time. I really like these. Is this the Pleiades? Yeah, I think I made the Pleiades here. Pleiades? I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But they're doing that like the whole time. I kind of like that. This is a song that's very based on loops that just add up. So it was nice to give every loop kind of its own like star type. Oh, there I go. I'm gone. We like filmed all of these. We just put Luke in front of the green screen and like filmed a bunch of these kind of like anime power moves. And then afterwards I had to figure out what to do with them. And I feel like I didn't quite get the epic scale that I was hoping for. I think I probably could have done more with if I'd known more about animation at the time. But it's a good shot, you know. Who are you? And you get pulled into the black hole, and that's the end.
Hey, musical scientists. Hope you
I'm still doing that same thing. With
enjoyed this fever dream.
But I even call it a fever dream at the time. It's like my favorite phrase to describe this video because it's just so weird. Ooh, I had launched a Patreon, and I have a whole lot of things there. I had started a podcast. There was a lot going on, and I was gonna promote all of it.
Dream of a video. This video was a joint creative endeavor by me and my friend Luke Bailey, who wrote the initial draft of the song and also starred as Robert. Thanks, Luke. Great idea, great interpretation of a power-drunk black hole. If you like the song, it's on iTunes, or it will be very soon. And Bohemian Gravity posters are still up for grabs on DFTBA Records. For those of you who got the
Yeah, Melissa, there's so much info on it. Like, that was more I feel like it was more the theme back in the day. We forget the era before YouTube got rid of annotations and implemented like a unified like 20-second end screen that you had to use. Like when it was just everyone figuring out everything for itself, like there was a lot of this stuff of just like peppering the end screen with annotations everywhere, like click to 100 different things. It's really bad marketing, but what did I know? I'm not a marketer, I'm a musical scientist.
Poster perk on my Indiegogo campaign. I just shipped back the signed posters to DFTBA today. I know it's been a pretty unacceptably long wait, but they are coming your way. Speaking of crowd,
I still have some Indiegogo perks that I from that campaign that I have never completed. That could be, you know what? That's something that's always like kind of weighed on my conscience, that there are some perks of that never got shipped out. And maybe that would be a worthwhile thing to like do on the stream, is like, hello, 6 years late. I'm very sorry, but let's actually finish these Indiegogo perks, because it's the kind of thing that like I don't know, it's like this weight on my mind of like, there are some people who never got what they ordered. And like, I know the main thing is that you're helping me and maybe you don't care about the perk, but like some people care about the perks, and I'm still not okay with that. I'm gonna have to figure that out.
Crowdfunding. Since the close of the campaign last year, quite a few of you have asked me how you can keep supporting Acapella Science. And as of today, there is an answer. I'm proud to announce that Acapella Science has launched a Patreon page. Patreon is a platform that allows fans to directly support artists by pledging to give a certain amount.
I think at some point I'm gonna stop watching the end screens for this thing, because once I get into actually doing ad reads, I don't wanna analyze the ad reads.
Every time we produce a new piece of content. You can pledge to give as little as $1 per video and you'll get perks.
This was it was like, Patreon was pretty new at the time, and it was really a game changer, because I like, aside from the Indiegogo thing, I didn't really know how I was gonna support myself with this channel long term. Like, when I did Bohemian Gravity, it was like it was such a massive success that like I had got like a few $1,000s in like MP3 sales, and like people were asking me to do like concerts and stuff. But then like by this time, like Eminem was like kind of a hit. This video was not really a hit at all. And it's like I've still got like thousands of people interested in this, but thousands of views on a YouTube video are worth like $2. And so like, props to Jack Conte, like Hank Green for doing Subbable before Patreon, and then Patreon for, you know, taking it and eventually making it better so that they amalgamated them. And like, that's the only reason I'm here right now, is really this. Like, I don't know what I would be doing. I'd be having to figure out how to like sell DVDs or something, which is not something I'm probably very good at. Sell more posters. Like, that's why there was more emphasis at the time of like, buy the song on iTunes and like buy this merchandise, because like, how else are you supposed to like keep the lights on when you have videos that take 2 months to make, and you know they're being seen by thousands of people, and thousands of people in the internet economy is far fewer than you need to actually, you know, survive. So shout out to Patreon, shout out to all of my patrons. Melissa Gevin says mixtapes. imagine me on the street corner, like just hawking mixtapes of Bohemian Gravity, where they're like, "Hey, dude, check out my demo," and then the person takes it and they're like, "I'm like, you touched it, now you owe me $5." Oh, I hope not.
It's ranging from early viewing of videos, free MP3s, hanging out with me on a Google Hangout, or even being declared our most esteemed musical science Grand Poobah.
Do we have a Grand Poobah right now? I think we do. I can't remember who's our Grand Poobah at the moment. I should really know that.
Most importantly, by sponsoring me, you're allowing me to spend more time making great videos and less time worried about how I'm going to pay my rent, eat, and live. If that sounds fun to you, go click over to patreon.com/acapellascience to...
I don't know what I was doing with this font. This is I don't know what makes a good font. I've thinks I don't know, but I don't think capitalized serifs are really the way to go.
Learn more, and I will love you forever. A couple other things. I've started doing a podcast with my friends Tom and Simon called Up for Discussion.
Wait, this is bothering me. We're gonna go find out who the Grand Poobah is on Patreon, because you're right, Jan. I should know who the Grand Poobah is, and it is criminal that I've forgotten. It's because for a while, it was, shoot, I'm even forgetting her name now. Golden Gold. I remember her website, Golden Gold. And now I don't remember. Hold on. Let's go to Patreon. Oh, maybe I can show you guys this. You want to see the back end of Patreon? Let's show you the back end of Patreon. This is the super secret. Actually, no, I shouldn't. I'd be giving away personal information that maybe people don't want to give away, so I won't do that. But who's the Grand Poobah? No, that's not it. Patreon changes its back end so often that I cannot remember how to get to the appropriate thing. Wait a second. Is Vitalik? Vitalik is the Grand Poobah? No, I don't think Vitalik is actually. Maybe we don't have one right now. Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, gave me a big donation. But I don't think he signed up for a perk. I think it was just a one-time donation. I don't think we have a Poobah right now. We had one for a little while, but yeah, that makes me feel better that I can't. That I couldn't remember who it was, because the fact is that I don't actually have one right now, so that's good. Where we sit around and talk and joke about random interesting topics. If you feel like sitting in on those conversations, you can grab them on iTunes or on SoundCloud. I'll put the links somewhere. And finally, if you find yourself in Montreal this Saturday, I'm performing at the Eureka Festival at the Old Port. The show is at 5:15 under the big tent. I think it's free. Oh yeah, Eureka. That was a thing that happened in Montreal, and it was a real bomb. Like, I played to... I mean, it was fun, and I got to experiment with a bunch more like live looping setup, but I played to like 5 people who were, I think, all French language. And like my mom, I think, was the only person who liked what I was doing. I don't know if it was a bad time slot or what, but you know. I'll put the event on the Facebook page, so if you want to know more, go follow me over there. All right, lots more ideas bursting out of this brain, so I'm sure you'll hear. This was the start of my real run of like the most productive time of my life. It was like maybe not this year, the year that this happened, but like this and the next year. Part of it was that like my Patreon got to a point where if I did a video every month, I didn't need to look for other work, and that was so exciting to me that I was like, I can do this. I can do a video every month. And I did a lot of videos, and you know, got good fast, but I wouldn't go back to that. It's a month is not long enough to make one of these. And I ended up, like, when we get to later on videos, you'll see me complain about some of the corners I had to cut to do it. And it leaves you kind of unsatisfied as a creative to have to cut corners in your own work. Hear from me again soon. Until then, my name is Tim Blay, and this has been Acapella Science. Acapella Science. Hey, Luke got to draw the outro. Luke is a great guy. Luke is the only person who's ever been so. Quick story about Luke. He works as an app developer, and as most computer science types are, he's a lot more concerned about like internet privacy than most of us dum-dums who don't realize how vulnerable we are on the internet. And so he's really careful about like what data he'll put into the internet everywhere. And as a result, he's never signed up for my Patreon, but every once in a while he will tabulate how many videos I've made, and he'll write me a check, and he'll put in the margins Patreoff. It's like Patreon except offline. And it's like the greatest thing. Shout out to Luke, he's great. All right, so that's that video. And what do we got next? We have Lobcopper. He should use NordVPN. Shout out to NordVPN, one-time sponsor of this channel. whose free 1-year subscription that they gave me has now expired, and I am living unprotected on the internet again. Now this next video, the next video is Pluto Mars. This is one of the fastest turnarounds I ever had on a video. Let's load it up. Yeah. Ooh. So I was experimenting with doing the little MTV opening, where they always have like all the credits and stuff. This is something that I lifted directly from Bill Nye the Science Guy, who always did this on his like science music videos at the ends of his episodes. So this song, I knew that the Pluto probe that New Horizons was headed to Pluto for like a long time. I knew it was coming. It was like coming up in the news, and I kept trying to think of a song for it, and I just couldn't, like, I couldn't make it work. And then on the other hand, I kept thinking, I kept trying to think how I could do Uptown Funk, because it was like the biggest song of all time at the time, and it was like, I loved the song. It was a great, danceable song. It was great. And yes, New Horizons launched in 2006, but the news started hyping it up like maybe 6 months before it reached Pluto, to like strengthening degrees. And I was like resigned to not having one, and I got invited to this Convergence conference at in Waterloo at the Perimeter Institute, which is where I got my Perimeter shirt that I sometimes wear. And while I was there sleeping on my cousin's couch, I suddenly realized this idea, like I think it was this outbound probe gonna visit Pluto was like the first thing that entered my brain. I just like woke up with it one day. I was like, wait, yes, I can do it. I can actually do it. The problem was that the Pluto probe, that New Horizons was set to arrive in Pluto in like a week. And the plan was that I was going to be in Waterloo at the Perimeter Institute, and then my family was going to come pick me up, and we were going to head out to vacation at the beach in Ontario for like a week and a half until after this had happened. And I was like, it wasn't after this had happened, but it was like until right before it was going to happen. And I was like, family, no, we can't. I must make this video. Can you? By this time, I had bought another laptop to do live stuff, another MacBook, and so I asked my mom to like go get into my apartment, I think, and gather up all of my production equipment and like put it in a suitcase and bring it with us on vacation, because I was like, guys, this is time sensitive. This needs to come out when New Horizons, like before New Horizons arrives. And so it was like this big race against the clock. I didn't do much actual vacationing on that vacation. I like stayed in the basement of this cottage that we rented, and I just, clapped to the ceilings and sang things and probably annoyed my whole family. And then as soon as we got home, I like filmed it and spent like, I don't know, like all day, every day putting this thing together just as fast as I could. And it came out pretty well, but you can see there's parts of it that are rushed in it. So for example, it was like super hot that summer, and I just did all of the videoing in like 3 or 4 hours, like as fast as I could. And the last thing I did was the lead vocal. And by the time I did, I was like sweating buckets. It was like 35 degrees out. And so you're going to see, as we watch this video, a very, very sweaty Tim. Melissa Gavin says, workaholic. No. So here's the thing. Here's how my work process works. I delay and I delay and I delay and I delay, and then I work nonstop until I finish the thing. And to do that, I am required to have a deadline, basically. So whether it's you won't graduate until you get unless you get your thesis in by this time, or this video won't work unless you get it out this week before the probe goes, or whether it's, hey, you've got credit card debt and you need to pay your rent, and if you don't put something out, then you will be homeless. That's the sort of thing that actually makes me motivated, which is a little problematic, because the more success you have, the more that means like the more things, the more any given work of art will like pay me in terms of like dollar value, and then there's no deadline until I actually run out of money. So maybe I'm a victim of my own success, and that might be one of the reasons why I haven't put out a video in a year. Let's watch Pluto Mars Outbound Pro ACS Records Kuiper Bell special. Here we go. Nice beard, Tim. Taps. This video is so much cleaner. I mean, there's still like I hadn't figured out how to mask, so I was still like trying to line up boxes by hand, which now I know that there's a way in After Effects that you can actually like, you know, you can make these lines as actual lines and then put them over top and make all your lines nice and perfect. I hadn't figured that out, so I was just, you know, drawing boxes and then dragging them and, you know, micro nudging them. But even so, like this looks quite good. I'd realized that gradients are a thing and that you can use them to make yourself look good. And I think I had figured out green screening a little better by this point too. I apologize to anyone for whom that flashing is a problem. I really didn't think about it at the time, but I've had some people in the meantime say there should really be a warning on this video for like epilepsy concerns, and I hope that hasn't affected anyone.
That ice cold, no cellular life on that light globe. This one to them dark worlds, them dwarf worlds, low masterpieces. Chillin', millin', round in Kuiper Bell City. Some folks swoon for Sailor Moon, but Pluto, so pretty.
That's a little cringe. That's still a little cringe. And the use of "she ain't hot" here, like I don't know, feminizing. I don't know if that's the word, but like anthropomorphizing the Pluto, but in particular in like a feminine way, and saying she ain't hot. I don't know about that. That's like it's a little cringy, Tim.
She ain't hot, but hot damn. Got pole lights to top Karen, and she ain't hot, but hot damn. If this ain't a brand,
I do really like I do really like the editing on this. Like this is the first like real fast paced editing I did on something like this, and like the way I like highlighting the different voices.
She ain't hot, but hot damn. If this ain't a brand
that's real. I really like that visualization of like what's happening musically.
new horizon, man, she ain't hot, but hot damn.
Most of these graphics are
Say my name, I'm a Pluto fan. She ain't hot, but hot damn. Not a bad use of grand money. Break it down. Nick's drifting.
like a lot of the like the 3D graphics are. Zach says, for the record, epilepsy triggered by flashing lights is extremely rare. It's popularized by some cartoon episode. Okay, that's nice to know. I wasn't sure what triggered epilepsy. What other things, Zach? If you're knowledgeable in epilepsy, what are the things that do tend to trigger it, or is it just is it not so much? Yeah, there's like a one particular thing. Yep. I was watching a lot of Game Theory at the time, and the Game Theory is like super intensely edited with like sort of joke graphics with like double meanings, and I was copying that quite a bit. So I remembered that. So the you know, there's all these names of Pluto's little moons, Nyx, Hydra, and for each one I found like some sort of. So this is the lice treatment that I actually got put on my head when I was a kid.
An interview, yo. Hydra, say benvenuto.
Hydra.
So long, Mars, and later Bruno.
I like that line. So long, Mars, and later Bruno. It's clever.
This outbound probe gonna visit Pluto. This outbound probe gonna visit Pluto. This outbound probe gonna visit Pluto.
All these. What I was gonna say is that all these like 3D graphics are from NASA. I think. NASA or like NASA affiliates. Like I just basically went onto their website and was like, hey, what do they have that's available to use by anybody? And take all those and like cobble them together. And like the if you see 2D graphics, then they're more like compilations of other sources, you know, like the Nyx and Hydra floating by. Like that's my own intensely wonderful animational skill. Oh, I was trying to. This was the first video where I had decided to double the base an octave lower to give it like a really deep bass sound. I remember deciding to do that because I was listening to like that groove and bass line of Uptown Funk, and I was like this needs this low end and I just can't hit it. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna digitally
double my voice to go down an octave,
you know. And I think it's like the way it's mixed, it's
something like this. Don't do 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 do.
And I was like, I want to actually represent that. So you'll notice that this bass, which is purple, has been doubled as a black and white shadow lower bass.
There's a planet inside of that little spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on.
Yeah, like at the time you hadn't seen. Tim, how dare you point out the boxes don't line up in this video? That's going to bug me more than anything. I'm so sorry. Watch it on a little screen, but believe me, bothers me just as much. There's some boxes that are not quite perfect right angles as well. They're a little bit leaned to one side or something because I accidentally hit a node, and that's always gonna bother me. What was I talking about? I can't remember what I was talking about. Rah! I think that's a lot more prominent in my mix than the original, but I can't tell because there's kind of a psychoacoustic phenomenon where if you see something prominently on the screen, all of a sudden you hear it, and that might be messing with my perception.
Don't believe me, just watch.
But yeah, that's this is this plate back here, this is the original plate that was captured by Clyde Tombaugh off of I can't remember the name of the telescope, but that little spot from there to there in these two, like where it moves back and forth, that's how he realized there was a wanderer in his in his lens. Planet, for those of you who are not aware, means wanderer because that's how they characterized planets back in the day. It was anything that moves compared to the stars.
Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, hey, oh, swap.
What is that? What is that snare? It's like a pa. I think if I were doing you'll see the evolution of my snares, and I bring it up a lot, probably because I'm like overly proud of having finally figured out like that snare, and that's pretty much what I use exclusively now. But I went through phases with the snares, like in Rolling in the Higgs, it's like a and then by this point I had kind of gone to like a pa mixed with like a clap, and by the time you get to defining gravity, you'll hear that it's like an inward K, like a, which sounds okay, like it's a little more punchy, and it's kind of mimicking the that you do with your tongue, but because it's less in your mouth and more in your throat. The inward K has a tendency to like give you spit problems down your throat, and I was always like coughing while I tried to do it. So finally figured out which is, I don't know, maybe I can explain at some point how I do that, but we'll wait until we hear it in the real acapella.
Pretty in it. Looking at gas.
Okay, so here's all let's go back a little bit. Here's all of the different machines on the probe. It's pretty cool how they load this stuff up.
Hey, oh, swap. Pretty in it.
Solar wind around Pluto, so that's self-explanatory. Looking at the solar wind.
Looking at gas, the solar winds hit it. LSC's ultraviolet. For
I can't remember what ALICE stands for. Presumably it's no, I don't remember. It's a light something. I don't know. Like I said, physicists and their acronyms. I guess planetary scientists too.
Yo, we got Rex. Then there's
Video science experiment. PEPSI is Pluto Energetic Particle Spectrometer Science Investigation. Sweet. One thing I like about these videos is that I actually they're like time capsules of what I have learned about a subject. So like it's not just for you guys. Like I'll go back and watch these and be like, oh yeah, that's what that means, or like what was going on at that time. And like I've got it's kind of like a little like a mind palace, you know, because I've got all these associations, like with every part of this video in terms of what I was reading, what I was thinking at the time, and I probably get a lot of more out of it than everything else, because everything that's here just kind of like hinted at. I had a whole thought behind it, and whether that was communicated or not to you, it'll trigger that entire neural pathway in me. So ha 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 ha.
Pepsi, Lori, Ralph, Venetia already.
So what's Ralph? I don't know what Ralph stands for. Venetia. I think Venetia wasn't even an acronym. It was just these students decided to name it Venetia, but I could be wrong. Lori, long range reconnaissance imager. I think that's the one that gives the super high quality pictures.
Lori, Ralph, Venetia already.
Visible and IR imager. Maybe it was this one. I can't remember which one was there was like a long range one, I guess. Wait a second. Which one was the long range one? Was it the one that had long range in its name? Hey, I'm smart.
Ralph, Venetia already. Got thrust streams of hydrazine, locking in the whole thing steady. She ain't hot, but hot.
What's hydrazine?
Damn. Got dust collector and thermal scan. She ain't hot, but hot damn. Got her own plutonium power plant.
Oh yeah, it does. It's not. Is it a nuclear reactor? I don't. No, it's like a passive plutonium system. Like it's not undergoing like active fission the way that like a nuclear submarine would be. It's just that plutonium has a half-life and is always decaying. And it uses the heat radiated off of this essentially like nuclear waste hydrazine is N2H4. Okay, cool. That makes sense. To like power it at very low power, and like this is how the Voyager spacecrafts or probes are powered, and it's the only way you can really get like a low power. Like you can run a low power system for like decades, right? Like the Voyagers are still sending us information, which is pretty cool. And this probe is going to, at some point, become the furthest thing away from Earth, that we've ever sent out, because it's the Voyagers have a head start, but this one is like way faster than the rest of them. It took a real high speed maneuver. I think it did 2 different gravitational boosts, it's just flying, so it's heading out real fast.
Finally get to see Pluto planet or not. Hot damn. Got cameras up and running, break it down. 6 we sail away to you, yo.
Hey, that's another song that I really would love to do, because it's such an epic power ballad.
Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me.
If anyone didn't know, that is by the band Styx, which is why this line is Styx, we sail away to you.
We sail away to you, yo. Kerberos, that ain't no Pluto.
Hey, it's the three-headed Kerberos, whatever you want to call it, from Hercules.
Oh, we're almost there, break out the brew, yo.
I don't know, I just, like, when I wrote this line, break out the brew, yo, I was just like, is there a Pluto beer? Someone's got to have made like a planet's beer, and I googled it, and lo and behold, yep, there is one.
The southbound probe gonna visit Pluto. The southbound probe gonna visit Pluto. The southbound probe gonna visit Pluto. Every night we get clearer shots. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on.
Hey.
Don't believe me, just watch.
I love that bass line there.
Don't believe me, just.
It's such a good riff.
Watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch.
That was a cool graphic to put together, because like they're kept being as the probe approached Pluto, it kept like taking these binary shots of Pluto and Charon, and I think the initial one here,
Believe me, just watch.
like these the first one is like, these are from like Earth-based telescopes, and then like getting all of these shots from different sources and like lining them up to actually show the progression. I like that, even though it goes by in like a second.
Don't believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch.
I can't hit Bruno Mars notes. I'm faking it with falsetto, guys. And this, I like, by this time, like, I think I made this part like the day before I released the video. And this was like 2 days before the flyby actually happened. So I think this was pretty much the highest quality picture that existed, like, at the time when I put out the video. The bass here is so cool too. Not this part, but do 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 do. So funky. Yeah.
Hey, musical scientists.
That's a good one. I like that video.
Hope you enjoyed the video and hope you're excited for Pluto. NASA's New Horizons probe is going to be making its closest approach on Tuesday, but we're going to be
I don't know what day this was released on, but it was the Tuesday after.
receiving data for months to come, so it's an exciting time to be a science fan. This video was supported in part by
This end screen is quite a bit better. I've cleaned it up considerably. I think because I was less worried about promoting things and more just like, hey, I've got Patreon now. Like, let's put that, and I don't know, just like the overall. This is like the meme impact font. Yeah, this definitely looks better. You're getting there, Tim. You're getting there.
my proud patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to become an Acapella Science supporter, you can go to patreon.com/acapellascience to
Nice. Hey, the surface light.
find out more. You can get posters, personal hangouts, or your name at the end of a video, like Donald Botkin here. So click on over.
Donald Botkin, man, that I've never talked to Donald Botkin, but he was like Aaron War is my brother-in-law, and I think he was the very first person to give me like a donation at the I'll show you out in a video level. But Donald Botkin, man, that dude like was supported me like pretty much right off of when Patreon started. And he's still there. He's still like, still being supportive. And I like see messages from him once in a while, and it's really cool. I don't know. And I still don't really know anything about him.
If that sounds good. Otherwise, you can buy MP3s or posters by clicking the links. But most importantly, don't forget to subscribe and share this with
Most importantly, I'm going to tell you the order of operations that you need to approach this with.
your friends so they too can.
Oh, this was the shirt that I had just gotten from the conference that I went to at Perimeter, where I got the where I got the idea for this thing. So that's cool.
Catch a case of Pluto fever. My name is Tim Blay. This has been Acapella Science, and I can't wait for Tuesday. So long. Acapella Science.
Alrighty. Oh, and then we have a fade out. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's how to do an old style end screen. I mean, it's better anyways. Alrighty. I think we're gonna end it there. We're gonna have to wait until next time to do the Nerd Manifesto. I don't know. Should we keep doing this tomorrow? I gotta get a guest back at some point. But yeah. So we're gonna have to wait till next time to do the Nerd Manifesto because we gotta do some singing about science. Let's get you back to this is too much clutter on the screen. Switch back to nice looking screen. Oh, you can really see that now. Yeah. So thanks for sticking around. There's more of you again today. I think this is a popular thing, so I'll probably keep doing this. Maybe should we just go through the whole thing, or should we like my whole backlog for the next week or so, or should we break it up? I'm not sure. Oh, I have to. Let's see. Should we do the loop first? Yeah, let's do the loop first. But then I've got to do the daily discussion before we go. So I'm gonna build this up, and then we can do some things. Let's see. Yeah, let's go. That's loud. that was loud. So let's keep it there for a moment. Yeah, where's my phone? I don't have my phone. I'll have to do it on here. Go over to Discord. We have a daily discussion that I posed. I asked you guys this time. Let's bring this down more. Today, the daily discussion in the Discord. If you're not already on the Discord, go down. Go down to the link there. What are you doing? Get on the Discord. Join our little community of people talking about science. There's a bunch of cool stuff going on in the Discord today. Like Non-Euclidean Dreamer is showing us. Non-Euclidean Dreamer and South End Music are showing us like extensions of the Mandelbrot set that they've like coded up. I'm including things with fractional exponents, which are really crazy looking. We've got people discussing some pretty intense things about infinite series and how to calculate convergent infinite series in the science stuff. We've got some good memes going on. There's just a lot happening. Actually, hold on. I can show you what the Discord looks like, can't I? If we go over here. Let's switch over to, is it that view? Hey, it's our infinite tunnel of crazy. That's gonna keep going for a bit. But here's the Discord. Here's what it looks like. We got a bunch of things going on. We've got like just a general chat. Right now, what are people talking about in the general chat? Looks like formatting. Blood is human juice. I'm not sure what's happening here. There's a place you can introduce yourself. Just tell us who you are, and we can make connections. A lot of musical science, folks. Places for people to ask me questions. Mermaid Biologist says this isn't a question as much as a comment, but a few months ago I bought a copy of Endless Form's Most Beautiful. It's good. Sweet, Mermaid Biologist. So there's a lot of people saying this isn't a question in the questions part, but that is technically what it's for. We've got places to show creative projects. So here's a sweet visualization of the Mandelbrot set by Non-Euclidean Dreamer as it powers through different powers. So it's usually z squared plus the constant. But then if you take that square and you change it, now it's a cube. Now it's shifting seamlessly towards a quartic. It goes all the way up to 10. And people are swapping their codes for how to do that, which is pretty sweet. Here's South End Music trying to do like fractional exponents, which is really, or is that positive exponents, negative exponents? Anyways, it's really interesting. Hey, Kekel Bibo is Lob Kapoor. I didn't realize you were the same person. Cool. But we've got this daily discussion. Hey, we also have memes. What's going on in the memes? When all the science memes are chemistry and physics jokes. Sad biology noises. Astronomy, am I a joke to you? Good one, Lob Kapoor. Good ones, Mermaid Biologist. You guys seem to be taking over this thing, which is great. I love the participation. And we're still going to be making it better. But for the Discord, today, the daily discussion question I asked was, what's the thing you know that has the highest ratio of how cool it is to how many people know about it? So like something that's like really cool and more people should know about, but they don't. And I've asked questions like this before, but I wanted like a fact. Like here's something that just like everyone should know because it's awesome, but for some reason nobody does. So let's see. Leiden turned me on to geohashing, which is I think that was started by Randall Munro of XKCD. It's like geocaching, but instead you're taking your current location and the day, and you put it into a hash function, and it gives you out like GPS coordinates, and then you have to get to those GPS coordinates within the day. And Leiden says that one of the crazy things that's happened is that the couch potato achievement has been reached, which means that someone put in their like the day and their actual current location into the hash, and it's just randomly, because hashes are crazy and like unpredictable, just happened to spit out the location they were already at. So that's pretty cool. But just generally knowing about geohashing is great. Mermaid Biologist says, my niche knowledge is that codon preference can cause even so-called silent genetic mutations to cause a difference in phenotype. Because even though the same protein is encoded, a less preferred codon can cause less of that protein to be made. That's super cool. I had never thought about that. So there are these. So in DNA transcription and translation, there are redundancies. So like every 3 base pairs in the DNA, like adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, every combination of 3 encodes for a particular amino acid in a protein, because a protein is a chain of amino acids. But some of them double up. So like I can't remember which ones double up, but like ATT or TTG or whatever, like a few of them, like often C's and G's can be transposed without changing anything, cytosine and guanine. So like say TTC and TTG give the same, encode for the same amino acid. You could think that a silent mutation would flip a C for a G and have no difference in the overall protein. But what Mermaid Biologist is pointing out is that in fact, the binding of those amino acids is different. So like one will slow down protein production a little bit. So this quote unquote silent mutation actually does have an effect, and that's awesome. I had never thought about that. Zach S says mycology and mushrooms in general, and goes on to say how cool they are. Zach, could you give us more details on? Actually, Zach also says that he made a whole compendium based on plant and functional ecology, like a D&D compendium, in case you want to use this fungi in Dungeons and Dragons, I guess, which is amazing. But I would like some more. Oh wait, there's some facts here. Did you know there are fewer fatally poisonous species of mushrooms than plants? Interesting, despite the popular misconception that the opposite is true. And the most charismatic fungi you see on the forest floor are actually symbiotic organisms that associate with tree roots. Yeah, that's awesome. Also, that like fungi constitute the largest organisms on the planet, because sometimes they're all like, even though what you see is the little fruiting bodies on top, they're like connected under it by this vast mycelium system that like it's all one gigantic organism. That's crazy. Fungi are pretty cool, and I should study them more. Non-Euclidean dreamer realized back that Jules Verne died the exact same year as Einstein published Special Relativity. Blew my mind how narrowly we missed the chance to read a Jules Verne novel about time dilation. That's true. That would have been epic. Let's see. Ann Smith says, Ann Smith's niche knowledge is that today is Rubber Eraser Day. Wait. Is today Rubber Eraser Day? No, there is a Rubber Eraser Day. There's also a Take a Wild Guess Day. Goodness, Anne, this is how you're doing this, eh? We've still got some philosophizing going on about yesterday's discussion, which was about probability theory. Radislava says, I have found that the most wonderful thing in the world is to realize that you don't need to care about other people's opinions unless you can directly influence them. That is a thing that more people should know. Also, I have been greatly freed by learning that if someone isn't going to tell me a problem, I don't have to figure out that they have a problem. That it's much easier for my life if I wait until someone actually comes to me and ignore the possibility otherwise. I don't know if that's great advice for everybody, but as someone who's not great at reading social cues, it's one that I've decided to go with. Let's see. Emma, looks like you commented just now. Definitely hot Isinga Planetarium. It's well known enough in the Netherlands, but not necessarily abroad. Oh, cool. Okay. If I ever get to the Netherlands, I'm going to visit your planetarium, because that sounds great. What's cool about it is that it's the oldest running planetarium in the world, and it runs at the same speed as our solar system. Whoa. Okay. So like, you're not going to see the planets whizzing around each other, but on the other hand, you're gonna actually see an accurately how the solar system is laid out. That's really cool. Lots of people are asking for your D&D compendium, Zach. So provide. Hey, We Heart Trains is trying to hijack the daily discussion with a meme. We Heart Trains, Oh, down there, there's a memes tab, and that's where that goes. So, just kidding. You're okay, We Heart Trains. You like trains a lot, and that's great. Gumbledolf says, I may be the world's leading producer of rankings based on number of languages the Wikipedia article for something exists in. Whoa. All right. Cool. Okay, so let's fade that away. Thanks everyone for being part of the daily discussion. I guess I didn't get to anybody who's hey, hello. You can see me now because this thing failed at the end of the stream. That's why where this cord is coming from. In any case, let's sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. Yeah, we're gonna sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. Yeah, we're gonna sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. Yeah, we're gonna sing about... That loop was really a bit rough today, oh, but what are we gonna sing about? Okay, it's time to sing about science, don't you know? Oh, whoa, whoa. Rapid fire commenting commands now. Tell me what to sing about, sing about. If you don't tell me, then I'll sing it out. Anything, don't break the loop, or no, I won't. We gotta sing about fungi. Joseph Chung, we're gonna sing about a particular phylum. It's not a phylum, it's a kingdom. I think, is it a kingdom? I'm not sure. Oh, either way, that is the ones we call the fungi. They're more related to you and I than plants. They're our ancestors, yeah. You see, not really, but us and fungi, it's a kingdom, says Zach. Yes, that's why we are also a kingdom of animals. I'm not good at phylogenetics, but either way, we are close to them. We share things that we don't with plants, and plants have things we don't, like chloroplast. Oh yeah, fungi can't make their food from the sun. They gotta get their nutrition from the ground or from symbiotic relations. Oh yeah, so they pair up with tree roots or mosses, and they can get lots of nutrients from them, from photosynthesis, and also grow on your fruits and things. And then Drosophila eat them, cause they're mold. Oh yeah, they're very cold. Oh, Joseph Chung is telling me more things about fungi, like they're dikaryotic, and they do that through plasmogamy. I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, they don't make food from the sun, but from chemicals. On the one for all about science. Oh, yeah. We're gonna sing about science. Yeah, we're gonna sing about science. Zach S says they have exotic biology. Hyphae don't actually have cells in the classical sense. They have more long semi-compartmentalized tubes with multiple nuclei inside each. That's pretty cool. That's also how Drosophila develops, with a singular, with many nuclei inside one compartment. That's a sweet optimization. Yeah, we're gonna sing about... Shamil gave me a super chat, yeah. Thank you, Jamil. And I think I gotta sing about that thing that he put in the chat. Oh, he said sing about slime molds, but I don't know about slime molds. I know they have like 100 genders or something, which is really weird. Are they protists? Oh, I think I know this. No, I don't. Oh. They're one-celled organisms, are they, or they multi-celled. So many things that I don't know living together. Oh, in all kinds of weather. They come together to repopulate, to all sexually compute the new generation. And they're super sweet, they can solve a maze. Oh, just by going over all the possibilities. Oh, yeah, distributed computing by tiny microorganisms is pretty sweet, yeah. What else is going on? Zach S. says they're technically not fungi, but my colleges tend to study them because we thought they were for a long time, long time, long time. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna sing about science. Oh, we're gonna sing about science. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. Yeah, we're gonna sing about science. What's a Leyden jar? I don't know what that is. We're gonna sing about science. Yeah, we're gonna sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. Yeah, we're gonna sing about. Thank you for watching the streams, especially those who've stuck around here. All you true people interested in the little songs I do at the ending. You're the true fans. I like you a lot. Now let's see what you've got. Oh, it's that ancient battery thing. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Is it the one that was found, like the jars that they found in ancient Israel with the piles of different metals, and they like pour salt water over them? Anyways, tell me your name in the chat so I can shout you out like that. We got Aurora 86, we got J Cutter, Chino, Hoshi, K Rose, Going Dallas, got We Heart Trains, Philippa Beckman, Lou Ranquist, Mattia Carciola, and then the Meteor Wrangler, Edward Jasic, Chino Hoshi, Raphael, Non-Euclidean Dreamer, Sophios, Joseph Chung, Jamil Zamet, K. Rose Grove, Valdemar Bunding, Hansen, Loris Shirar. A Elegantly Awkward is here. Haven't seen you before. Daniela Guerrero, I think I want some more. We got Benjamin Kosman and Alice in the chat. We got Fernando Tonan, DeRossi, and Sean Elliott. We got, oh, I lost it for a second. Oh, it's Jan. I will pronounce you Jan from now on. Jan, we got Red Moon, Zach S, Philippa Beckman, Brookie 40K, and RC, and all the rest. We got Casper Ghost and Smith, Radislava Bodnarova, oh, Joshua Lamu, Gumbledolf, Sarah Elder, Lob Kapoor, and then that's it. That's the stream. It's over. We're gonna sing tomorrow, I think. I don't know if I'll do more videos. Depends if I can think of something else to do. I don't know, but if I do, we'll come back to Nerds Manifesto and then other parts of it too. Gonna sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. Bye, everybody. Yeah, we're gonna sing about science. Thank you once again for being part of this stream. We're gonna sing We'll be back tomorrow, science. Usual time, same science time, same science channel. See you around. We're gonna sing about science. Yeah, we're gonna sing about science. Oh yeah, we're gonna sing about science. Whoa, yeah.